Choices by MesserMoon. Chapter 19. Chapter notes. You know it's a Regulus chapter when there are all these trigger warnings. Honestly, I am very sorry. Trigger warning, reference sexual assaults. Trigger warning, animal abuse. Nothing is graphically described because that would be terrible, but you know it's happening. Child abuse via magic. Also, I realize I operate under the assumption that everyone knows the stories of Achilles and Patroclus, but in case you do not, real quick thing you might want to know for this chapter, Iliad spoilers. Achilles gets angry at Agamemnon for just being generally garbage and refuses to fight for him. The Greeks get crushed by the Trojans without him, so Patroclus dresses up in Achilles' armor to scare the Trojans away, and that's how he gets killed by Hector. If you do know the story and are like, girl, this is a terrible summary, I know, and I'm sorry. There's no point in screaming. It took Regulus a long time to learn that. He expects that's Sirius's fault. As long as he was here, there was always a chance that someone might come. No one comes anymore. Regulus is on the ground, feeling as though he's had the skin flayed from his bones. He can't tell where the borders of his body end anymore. He's just pain, no longer stuck behind the lines of his fingers and toes. He has no shape. He's bleeding out. Up. No. Get up. No. He doesn't move. Doesn't think he can. Can't remember why he ever wanted to. Regulus, get up. I can still crucio him on the ground. That's not the point. Get up. A boot slides under him and flips him clumsily onto his back. Fuck. He blinks his eyes open, finding Lucius hovering up over top of him. Well, look at that. He is alive. He gives him another kick, and Regulus curls onto his side, a pathetic attempt to protect himself. No. It's someone else who grabs him under his arms and pulls him up. No more hiding. Rodolphus. That's who picked him up, gives him a shove, and he stumbles, legs shaking as he tries to keep himself standing. This didn't have to be so difficult, you know. Lucius grabs his jaw and forces his head up. Being this close to him always makes Regulus's skin crawl, his pulse jackhammering in his chest. Cast the curse, Regulus. That's all we're asking. According to your parents, you get excellent marks. Very bright, so this really shouldn't be so hard. I've tried, Reg manages finally, teeth clenched. I can't. Lucius's hand starts squeezing, and Regulus is too tired to hold back the yelp it pulls from his throat. Try harder. Lucius lets go, gesturing toward the pen that's been set up in the middle of the yard. There are 2 bunnies in it. Well, there were. One is dead now. Bella got a little overzealous during her demonstration. Not to worry, though. She doesn't need a bunny when she has Regulus. Go on, Reg. Narcissa is standing a little further back from the others, watching with a tense look on her face. Regulus swallows, trying to get his eyes to focus before raising his wand. He's not sure what the problem is anymore. At first, he didn't want to, but now he'd do just about anything to put an end to it. Crucio, he says, with as much authority as he can muster. Nothing happens. The bunny continues eating grass. Regulus's wand continues to be absolutely useless in his hand. He closes his eyes. Fuck. That's about all he has time to think before another crucio rings out behind him, and suddenly he's on fire again. When he comes to, he's back on the ground, Lucius crouched beside him, elegant brow arched. There's a new expression on his face this time. Pity, Regulus thinks. You really aren't doing yourself any favors here. Lucius reaches out and brushes the hair off of Regulus's forehead. Regulus hates it. Hates that he's touching him. Hates that he's too weak to do anything about it. Come on. Lucius grabs him by the arm and pulls him back to his feet. The world swims around Regulus, and he has to close his eyes to keep from throwing up. All right, maybe that's enough crucio for today, huh? Why don't you just have added the thing? That wasn't the plan, Lucius, Rodolphus grumbles in the background. The kid's supposed to learn all 3. When Regulus opens his eyes again, he's met with Lucius's stare, still on him even when he answers. Yeah, well, if you want him to learn anything, you're going to need to control your wife. There are spots in Regulus's vision, and he knows he's on the verge of passing out, which he absolutely cannot do. Not here. Not with them. He needs toughening up. Bellatrix slinks into view, her dark hair let loose down her back. He's too soft. She drags her finger up Regulus's arms as she circles him, hooking her chin over his shoulder and her hands over his chest. He's shaking. He's sure she can feel it. He has to breathe, to remember to breathe, to remember that he can. He has to keep it together even though every part of him is filled with the desire to fall apart, to slip out of his skin. It's covered in their fingerprints. It's barely even his. See, little cousin, she hisses in his ear. He wishes she would just crucio him again. It would hurt less. You're going to be king one day. Bellatrix is all over him, and he has to bite down on his tongue as a sob starts to make its way up his throat. It doesn't matter, he tries to tell himself. They're just hands, just bodies. It doesn't matter. Inhale, exhale. Little King Black. She runs a bony knuckle down his face. So you need to be big and strong. She slips easily into a baby voice. Need to leave the family to greatness, because if you fail, I will shred you with my teeth, just as like I intend to do with your brother. And then she bites him, teeth digging into the meat between his neck and his shoulder before pushing him away. He doesn't make any noise, mostly because he can't. He'd have to be breathing to be making noise. He stumbles forward, his body too clumsy to catch itself, so he ends up on his hands and knees, heaving into the dirt, trying desperately not to throw up. Bellatrix laughs in the background. Go on, Regulus, she calls out. Kill the widow rabbit. Maybe next time we'll catch a muggle instead. He doesn't know if she's joking. He doesn't want to think about it. With a deep breath, he gets back to his feet, not looking at any of them. It's bright, one of the last days of summer, the Scottish country sky stretching out in front of him. His father loves this view. It's half the reason his parents bought this house in the first place. Regulus wipes the sweat out of his eyes on the back of his wrist before lifting his wand again. Avada Kedavra. He knows better than to look away, knows they'll only make him do it again, find some other thing for him to kill. He's not sure why this spell is easier, why he can manage one but not the other. Lucius claps him on the back, making his shoulders tense. Good boy. Someone should get the elf. I'm feeling like a rabbit for dinner, Bellatrix cackles. Slowly, Regulus slips his wand back into his holster on his forearm, turning around and moving toward the house. He feels weak, lightheaded, covered in sweat and dirt and desperate just to get the fuck away from everyone. Regulus, Lucius calls out to him, but he doesn't stop, doesn't turn around, doesn't look at Narcissa as he pushes past her. He just needs to make it to his room, needs to close the door, needs to lock it. Same time tomorrow, and you better be able to curse the bloody rabbits. He slams the back door shut behind him, running up the stairs to his room. His mother isn't here right now, which is a blessing. He can feel his consciousness begin to slip, pins and needles running up and down his legs and arms, vision blurring at the edges. He just needs to sit down. He just needs to breathe. He just needs no one to fucking touch him ever fucking again. He very nearly cries when he gets to his room, throwing the door closed. Call a portus. He snaps at it, hearing the clicking of the locks. He collapses onto his bed, still wearing his shoes, still covered in dirt. He needs to shower and to change, but right now all he can manage is lying on his side and forcing himself to breathe. Inhale, exhale. Nothing matters. None of it matters. It doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt. Stop crying. It doesn't hurt. He curls in tighter. It's the fucking crucio. It breaks him down inside. All his carefully built walls, all the ways he protects himself. Shattered. It's impossible to describe that spell. It's called the torture spell, but that isn't right. When you think torture, you think skin and bones and blood, but crucio is something else. Something inside you. It unstitches every part of your psyche until your mind is nothing but loose threads. There's a hoot at the window. Regulus doesn't even bother checking whose owl it is. Go away, he croaks. Owls, unfortunately, are not particularly compliant creatures. The beast hoots again, fluttering its wings as it flies from the windowsill to the headboard. I said, go away. He grabs the pillow next to him and hurls it at the bird, who lets out an indignant squawk. A few moments pass before he hears fluttering again, the owl landing next to him on the mattress. Rolling his eyes, Regulus pulls himself up. Fine, give me the stupid letter then. Holding its head high as though deeply offended, the bird sticks out its legs so Regulus can untie the parchment. Well, he snaps when the bird continues to stand there expectantly. Go on, I'm not giving you anything. He swears the bird actually narrows its eyes, giving his hand a vicious peck before flying back out the window. Fuck! Regulus brings his hand to his mouth, willing to admit that he probably deserved that. He doesn't even need to see the name to know who the letter's from. He'd recognize Evan's messy scrawl anywhere. Reg, tonight. Another one. Meet at the east corner at 11:45 p.m. Evs. He rolls his eyes at the nickname. It's something stupid he started this summer. The only person who calls Evan Rosier Evs is Evan, but he's convinced it'll catch on. The rest of the letter is less amusing. Regulus's eyes scan over it one more time before throwing it on the floor and collapsing back into his bed. These nighttime excursions are another invention of the summer. Mulciber, Evan, Barty, some of the other boys have decided they need to get Voldemort's attention. And the best way they think to do that is by attacking Ministry employees in the dead of night. Personally, Regulus thinks it's a stupid idea that's only going to put the Ministry on high alert for no reason. But according to someone's brother's cousin's mother, the Dark Lord has heard about it and voiced his approval. So now the boys are determined to get in as many attacks before the summer ends as possible. When Regulus had voiced his negative feelings on the matter, Evan had just scoffed. It's different for us, he'd said. Not everyone is guaranteed the mark, you know. Some of us have to work for it. Oh yeah, Regulus had thought bitterly, because I'm just having the time of my fucking life over here. Mostly he opts out, but he can't say no every time. It wouldn't look good. So every once in a while he tags along, throws a few punches and curses, pretends he doesn't think it's all ridiculous. There's a knock at his door and Regulus's whole body instantly goes stiff. He lies still for a moment before sliding his wand into his hand. Fuck off, Lucius. He's glad to hear his voice come out flat, unshaken, pushing himself off the bed. It's not Lucius, the person on the other side says eventually. Oh. Narcissa? He waves his wand and the locks click open, followed a few seconds later by his fair-haired cousin. She closes the door behind her and just stands there, the two of them facing one another. It's like they're about to duel. It takes a few seconds before Regulus realizes he still has his wand out and quickly slides it back into its holster. Do you need something? He asks eventually because Merlin, one of them, has to say something. That seems to wake her up. No, I just wanted to make sure you were okay. I know that things got a little... He blinks at her. Things got a little intense? Is that the word she's looking for? Is that what happened? Sometimes Regulus honestly can't tell. Like he's lost his barometer for acceptable behavior. Maybe he never had one. Right, he says eventually, because it feels like she's waiting for an answer. I'm fine. Thanks. She nods, walking further into his room, looking around. He can't remember if she's ever been up here before. He likes this room better than the one at Grimmauld Place, but then he could say that about pretty well any room in this house. There's a big bay window that lets the sun in, and the moon and the stars. The wallpaper a gentle green, brighter and softer than everything else in London. He sits down at the edge of his bed, watching her walk slowly around, stopping at his desk. There isn't much there, just school books mostly. Eventually, she turns back to him, leaning against it. Why did you think I was Lucius? Regulus feels his pulse start to pick up, but he keeps his expression neutral, forces his voice to come out flat, free of any hills or valleys. Figured Bella convinced him to drag me down and finish the lesson. He wonders if she knows. There's a look in her eyes, just in the corners, but then it's gone. She nods. It's a plausible excuse, one that works for both of them. She goes quiet again, arms crossing over her chest. We're trying to get pregnant. she says eventually. She's looking at him again. Right at him. Oh. He can't quite parcel through all the complicated things that sentence drags up in him. Of course, he knew that they would have children. Honestly, he's surprised they haven't already. The Malfoys, the Blacks, they need their heirs. Still, the idea of Lucius having a child, a son. He feels his nails start to dig into the mattress beneath him. We've started to see a healer to figure out why it's taking so long, to see what we can do to help things along. Right. Regulus fidgets uncomfortably, finding her gaze increasingly difficult to hold. I do worry about having a baby in on the middle of all of this, but... Duty calls. Regulus supplies. She shoots him a rueful smile. Indeed. They lapse back into silence, and Regulus finds himself wondering what the hell she's doing up here. Then he has the horrible thought that maybe she's trying to test out her mothering on him. You two, he finds himself saying eventually, mostly in an attempt to end the uncomfortable silence. How did that happen? She arches her brow, the familiar smirk tugging at her mouth, the one that is softer and kinder than her sister's. You know how it happened, the same way it always happens. Regulus just shakes his head. Romance isn't really my area of expertise. She laughs. Yes, I've noticed. Oh, he thinks. Great. They've been talking about me. Not that there's much romance involved in any of this, Narcissa goes on, dimming slightly. No? He wishes that she would stop dyeing her hair. He likes it as it is naturally. Light brown. It suits her. The blonde makes her look too harsh. She gives him another half smile. No, my mother chose him. Well, and his mother chose me, I suppose. Regulus nods, memories coming vaguely back to him. I remember. Weren't you dating someone else? Her eyes flicker, but her expression remains in place. Matthew. She says the name softly, with reverence. It hangs between them, big with all she doesn't say, all Regulus doesn't need her to. He knows what it's like, to hold on to a name like it's the hand pulling you out of the deep, the only thing keeping you from going under. Your mother didn't choose him, then? She snorts. No, well, he was a half-blood, so... How scandalous. Indeed. Her gaze grows distant for a moment, unfocused, no doubt disappearing to somewhere else. We all have our childish indiscretions, things we have to give up. Regulus very forcibly keeps his thoughts from wandering to where, of course, they want to go. To that smile, that laugh, those hands that seem to be the only ones that don't pull him apart. Except your sister, Andromeda, right? She kept her childish indiscretion. Narcissa's eyes instantly go sharp. I'd leave that alone if I were you, Reg. Right, of course. Sure, sissy. She's not some hero, not someone worth anything but your pity. Regulus has the feeling Narcissa has said those words a few times before, mostly to herself. Like Sirius. Exactly. Except, are we? Narcissa's brow furrows. What do you mean? Are we worth anything but pity? She stares back at him, eyes wide, betraying all of that doubt, all of that pain, all of that love. Regulus knows how that feels. Knows it exactly. Why did you come up here, Narcissa? He asks eventually. Why did you think I was Lucius? Ah, so she does now. He swallows the embarrassment, the fear, the disappointment. He had really thought if there was anyone here who would have helped him. We all have our childish indiscretions, right? He says coldly. He sees that land and then quickly watches her eyes shudder, watches her expression close down completely. She gives him a sharp nod. Right. Well, I'll let you rest. She starts toward the door, but for some reason, Regulus can't quite let it go. You're still going to do it then. Still going to let that man near a child. She pauses, hand on the doorframe. Don't be dramatic, Regulus. And she sounds so much like his mother that he can't help but wince. You're hardly a child, and Lucius would never do anything to compromise his heir. Compromise. That word hits him somewhere deep. He nearly doubles over. Is that what I am? He wonders. Compromised? Well, as long as you're sure. He somehow manages to get out. I won't let anything happen to my child. Do you think all mothers say that? His voice is cold enough that it drags her gaze back over her shoulder. How many of them end up being liars, I wonder? Surprisingly, she doesn't answer. When he goes down to his father's room the next morning, he isn't there. Regulus sighs, rubbing a hand across his face. Crazy loon, he mutters grumpily, moving quickly down the stairs and out into the garden. They have a garden at Grimald Place too, but it's narrow and overcrowded, and the wards don't let you get far. Here, they're surrounded by nothing for miles, just wide open spaces. Right at the back of the house, there are intricately woven flower beds and stone paths, the type of thing you'd expect from a palace or Victorian mansion. His father did it all himself before he got sick. Papa, he says, finding his father staring at a bush of purple hyacinth. How many times do I have to tell you you can't just go wandering off? You make me sound like a mischievous puppy. Orion's long hair is pulled back in a bun, the streaks of gray standing out more starkly in the morning sun. He pulls out his wand and waves it at the flowers, sending the dead blossoms tumbling to the ground. Papa! Regulus makes a grab for the wand, ripping it out of his hand. Jesus, what the hell are you doing? Orion rolls his eyes. Mon chose existe un peu de magie. No magic, Regulus says sternly. You're not supposed to be doing any magic, especially not for something as stupid as this. He gestures dismissively at the bush, bringing a frown to his father's face. My garden is not stupid. Now it's Regulus's turn to roll his eyes. That's not what I meant. Non? His father asks, eyebrow arched. You know I love your garden. Orion smiles. Did you see the vegetable patch? Those tomatoes are looking bon, no? Regulus tries and fails to hold back his own smile. Yes, I saw them. Very impressive. Orion preens. Bien, alors. We can both agree this is not a waste of magic, then. He holds out his hand to Regulus, looking at him expectantly. We can hire gardeners, or we can ask Creature to do it. His father lets out a dry laugh. Creature wouldn't know the difference between a peony and a ranunculus if they were right in front of him, and you know how your mother feels about strangers. I don't know, Regulus almost says. There seem to be more than a few strangers running through this house recently. Though it's not as bad as it was at Grimald. Before they'd left, that place felt like King's Cross. People in and out, with nervous eyes and heavy cloaks. Then let me do it, Regulus says, exasperated, still not relinquishing his father's wand. I am not an invalid, Regulus. You are, actually. That makes his father laugh. He always sounds like Sirius when he laughs. Or maybe it's Sirius that sounds like him. Both of them bark like dogs. You might be right. His father wipes the hand across his forehead, catching beads of sweat. But surely I can still be allowed to have a little fun, huh? It's not really that hot. The sun is bright and there are no clouds in the sky, but still, he shouldn't be sweating. Are you running a fever? Regulus asks, stepping forward to feel his father's face. Mon cœur, arrête, arrête, I'm fine, stop fussing. He bats Regulus's hand away, taking a step back. You can't act like this, Regulus sighs, frustrated. I'm not always here to... You have to take care of yourself. Those last words come out pleadingly, and you can see the softening in his father's eyes. Regulus, he says, in that way parents do when they're about to break your heart. Regulus knows the tone well. I'm dying. We're all dying, he says flatly, hand curling too tightly around the wand in his hand. In the distance, he can hear birds chirping. His father smiles. Yes, well, I am dying a little bit quicker than the rest of you. You don't know that. Regulus. Stop saying my name like that, he snaps. His father quirks his brow. Like what? Like I'm a child. Ah. And then, opening his palms. I'm afraid to me you always will be. Then why are you never there when I need you? He knows it's a stupid thought to have, that his father's sick, that he's too weak to do anything, and Regulus would never want him to hurt himself trying. That you can't expect other people to fight for you, to protect you. That's always been Regulus's problem. He's always needed a hero. Papa, please, he says finally. His father gives him a sad smile before reaching out, this time not for his wand. He pulls Regulus into him and Reg goes willingly, even though the feeling of being held makes his skin crawl. There are things that can't be changed, mon cœur. Things that we just have to accept. He thinks about Narcissa, about himself. Forget to juste appear. The Black family motto ought to be just accept it. I want you to know, his father says after a moment, pulling back as he brings his hands to gently hold Regulus's face, that I'm so proud of you. I know how hard it's been since your brother left, all the pressure you've had placed on your shoulders, but you've handled it so beautifully, Regulus. He looks up at his father, eyes searching, wondering if he knows about all of it, about what happens in this garden when he's up in his room and the others come over. Wonders if that's what he's proud of. Before he can stop himself, his eyes go to the mark on his father's forearm. It's new, the ink still jet black, standing out starkly against his skin. His father drops his hands to Regulus's shoulders and squeezes. You're going to be brilliant, Regulus. You needn't worry. Regulus looks up and knows that his father has caught him staring. This is your birthright. It's in your blood. What is? He doesn't ask. Which part? Because none of it ever really seems to come naturally to him. But then, nothing ever seems to come naturally to him. Not like it does to Sirius. Eventually, his father smiles. Let's make a deal, huh? I'll promise to sit here like a good little boy and do no magic. If you go get your broom and let me watch you fly, yes? I don't know why you like watching me fly so much. It's always the same. He reluctantly hands his father back his wand, the older man nodding his thanks as he slips the tender stick into the pocket of his robes. That is because you have never had the pleasure of seeing yourself fly. His father's eyes sparkle. It is like listening to a symphony. Regulus rolls his eyes. Yeah, okay, I'm getting my broom. No more comparing me to symphonies, please. His father laughs. I only tell you the truth, mon cœur. Regulus waves him off as he heads toward the shed. My heart, that's what his father calls him. My heart. Don't put your faith in me, he wants to tell him. I'm not the son worth betting on. Really, Regulus? He blinks up at Lucius, on his back, yet again, the sun in his eyes. The older man offers Regulus his hand, but he doesn't take it, pushing himself up on his knees and then, eventually, to his feet. They've limited Bellatrix to strictly forgivable curses today. He hears Lucius huff out a laugh behind him. Suit yourself. This is starting to get a little pathetic, little Black. Rodolphus pushes himself off the back wall. What good are you if you can't even stomach this, huh? He gestures at the cat they've trapped. Why did it have to be a cat? Reg thinks dully. I like cats. Why couldn't it be a rat or a snake or a possum? As if hearing his thoughts, the animal lets out a mournful meow. Oi, back off of him. Narcissa steps in, though Regulus honestly couldn't tell you why. He can brew more potions than you can name, and he's managed everything else you've thrown at him. That's not technically true. He couldn't manage the Patronus. Rodolphus turns his skin-crawling leer on her. Yes, he's a pretty little swat, but none of that matters if he chokes when he needs to actually point his wand at someone. Mostly, Regulus doesn't let himself think about what they're practicing for. He doesn't let himself think about most of what's happened this summer. Easier that way. Just to let it go. He won't choke. Even in the August heat, his mother's voice still sends a chill down his spine. They all turn toward the house where Walburga stands inside the door, dressed in black, eyes intently focused on her son. Will you? Regulus. It feels like everything has suddenly gone still. The wind, the tree branches, the birds overhead. Nothing moves. Nothing breathes. Nothing makes a sound. No, Maman. He forces the words out. She gives him a sharp nod, taking a step forward, arms crossing over her chest. Go on then. Show them. Fuck. His hand is sweaty as he adjusts his grip on his wand, turning back to the cat, feeling each and every set of eyes on him. Bellatrix is frightening in her absolute disregard for everything and everyone. But his mother is scary in another way. The way that her hatred can zero in and focus itself on just you. He swallows, trying to put everything away in boxes and shove it all down. To not think about the cat as a cat, or an animal, or a living being, but just an it. Just an it. The first time he ever saw someone crucioed, it was serious, the summer before he ran away. Regulus had felt many things about his mother before that point. Anger, fear, love. But that day, that was the first day he had really hated her. Regulus. His name comes out of her mouth as a warning. He exhales, pulling on that memory, on that hatred, letting every horrible feeling fill him up. It's for his own good, his mother had said, staring at her Alta's son while he writhed on the floor in agony. For his own good. Crucio. It's work not to be sick, not to drop his wand. He wonders if this is what he looks like to them, if this is how they feel when they watch, or maybe they feel nothing at all. He waits for someone to tell him to stop, but no one does. Eventually he pulls back, shaking and out of breath. The noise doesn't stop, though. The cat's screaming. He knows the feeling, the way the burn sticks in your stomach afterwards, in your bones, in your head. Finally, he hears Rodolphus mutter under his breath. Regulus stares at some indistinct point in the distance, focusing on his breathing, on not falling to the ground. His mother begins to clap. Slow, poignant. It doesn't feel like celebrating. Excellent, she says, waiting until Regulus's eyes meet hers. He'll be here on Sunday. That's it. That's all she says. She's back inside the house before he can even blink. Oh, did someone just need their mommy? Rodolphus says mockingly. Regulus doesn't bother responding. Doesn't quite know how. The cat is still crying in the background, and honestly it feels like he might be sick. Without thinking, he starts moving. Bellatrix and Rodolphus are laughing about something, but he isn't sure what. He thinks Narcissa reaches for him, but he keeps going. He doesn't make it far, just to the other side of the house, before his hands are on his knees and he's vomiting up the entire contents of his stomach. He falls against the wall, wiping his mouth on the back of his hand as he slides down to the ground. Sunday. She said he'd be here on Sunday. A shiver runs through Regulus. There's no question who he is. Wow. He looks up to see an amused Lucius leaning against the wall next to him. You really did throw up. I wasn't sure if you actually would. Regulus gives him a flat look before dropping his head down to his knees. Go away, he mumbles, not able to muster anything more threatening. Lucius kisses his teeth. You used to be so much more agreeable. Regulus laughs, because it's such a horrible, fucked up thing to say that he's not sure what else to do. It's too hot. Too hot for all of this. Are you really this awful? He finds himself asking, lifting his head just enough to speak. Or is it some kind of act? Lucius lets out a dry chuckle. Am I your villain, Regulus? No, not even close. But you are a fucking nightmare. I can accept that. He wants to punch him. He doesn't. Can't. Hasn't the energy, the courage, but God, does he want to. So, how's the boy then? Regulus stiffens, looking over Lucius's shoulder, half expecting Bellatrix or his mother to appear. He doesn't know which would be worse. Lucius smirks. I've already cast a privacy charm. He waves his hand dismissively at the air. Regulus does not find that at all comforting, and it must show on his face because the older man rolls his eyes. Oh, stand down. I'm not about to do anything out here, am I? This, Regulus thinks, this right here is why I'm so fucked up. That he can talk about it like it's nothing. Normal, casual, like it hasn't left holes in his skin. There's no boy, he says flatly. And then, for good measure, go away. Lucius snorts. Nah, I don't buy it. Big attitude change like this? Must be a boy. Could be a girl, but I don't expect you're quite lucky enough to swing both ways. Regulus doesn't say anything, nails digging into his knees. Apparently, Lucius takes this as an invitation to keep talking, because he steps forward and crouches down next to him. He's not one of ours, I'd bet. That's why you've been so resistant lately. He laughs dryly. I'm surprised it's lasted this long, though I can't imagine it'll go on much longer. Not once you have the mark. Those lot are too self-righteous to let something like that slide. Hypocrites. Hypocrites? Regulus doesn't know why he asks. Lucius shrugs. They're fighting for their power, like I'm fighting for mine. I don't see where they get off feeling so damn morally righteous. Regulus isn't even sure where to start with that. Your power, or the Dark Lord's, is what makes it out of his mouth. Lucius rolls his eyes. Oh, like they're not fighting for Dumbledore. One mad old man is no better than the next. Regulus isn't sure if that's true, though he personally has never cared much for Dumbledore. Something about the way his smile never reaches his eyes. Still, when he speaks, it's only to say, last I checked, Dumbledore isn't branding his followers. Oh, come now, Regulus. Lucius pulls back his sleeve, the snake on his arm squirming in the sunlight. Surely you're not afraid of a little ink. Regulus looks down at it and then away. I'm not scared, he says wearily, and he means it. He isn't. I'm just so fucking tired of not having any control. It's proof of how lonely he's been that he's having this conversation with Lucius Malfoy at all. The older man leans in close and Regulus tries and fails not to flinch. What do you think we're fighting for? He lingers there for a moment before pulling away. We can have the power. They want the power. We crush them. We reign supreme again. It's really all very simple. I don't want power. He doesn't have to look at Lucius to know he's rolling his eyes. Power, control, it's all the same. Regulus's head leans back against the wall, looking at the dimming sky. I don't think that's how they see it, this fight. I don't think they see it as being about power. Well, then they're idiots. Everything is about power. You think Dumbledore aligned himself with the mudbloods out of the goodness of his heart? Please, he saw an opportunity, and he took it. Regulus doesn't answer, closing his eyes and trying to will his exhausted body to stand. Hopefully they can stop these lessons. He's managed all three unforgivables. Surely they'll leave him alone now. You think you'll get control on the other side? Again, Regulus doesn't answer. He knows a trap when he sees one. Dumbledore will turn you into his little creature, have you do all his spying for him, and then toss you aside. I bet you 1,000 galleons that's what'll happen to your brother. At least with us, you have value. You have something that can't be taken from you. Blood. In Regulus's opinion, his blood has never done very much for him. But he doesn't bother voicing that thought either. Eventually, he hears the sound of Lucius getting to his feet. You know, he says, because he can't ever seem to shut up. I'd be careful if I were you. Wouldn't want Bellatrix to find out about your little boy toy. Regulus's eyes fly open and his head snaps toward Lucius. Is that a threat? He finds himself asking. Lucius clutches dramatically at his chest. Regulus, you wound me. It's merely some helpful advice. Because if she finds out what you've been doing, and God forbid with whom, that poor boy is going to find himself dismembered. Despite his best efforts to stay calm, Regulus can feel his heart racing in his chest. I told you, there's no boy. Lucius laughs. Sure. Tell me, how good are you at occlumency again? 'Cause I reckon she could crack you open after a few rounds of Crucio. Fuck. Lucius. Oh, listen to that. Do you hear it? You've gone all soft. And after being so rude to me. Regulus grits his teeth, trying to keep some semblance of control. Please. The older man smiles. I do love hearing that word out of your mouth. He walks forward, and Regulus has to force himself to stay still, to not pull his wand out or run, especially when Lucius reaches out to run his hand through his curls. You know, he says, hand sliding down Regulus's jaw, thumb running over his lower lip. The fear and anxiety building inside of him are almost unbearable. There are no words to describe this feeling. Like he's going to burst open, spill out of his skin. You're so much prettier when you're quiet. He doesn't breathe again until Lucius steps back, sharp and desperate. Lucius must notice because he laughs. You see, Regulus? Everything is about power. There are dots in Regulus's vision, memories of hands and weight and muffled sobs clawing at his throat. It takes him a long time to realize when Lucius is gone. He manages to make it into town on Saturday. He goes once a week, to get away, to visit the gallery, to think about the things he's not supposed to think about, to read James's letters. He sits on a park bench, fingers running over the envelopes in his hands. He always brings them with him, afraid to leave them behind, desperate to read them again. There's only one left unopened, the rest of them scarred with creases and smudge marks from all the times he's pulled them out, all the times he's told himself just once more. He slides his finger under the sealed envelope, pulling out the fresh pages and getting the same fluttering in his stomach as he does every time. It's the kind of feeling that makes him do stupid things like try and send letters through the Muggle post. He unfolds the pages. Dude. Regulus groans out loud, causing the old woman on the bench across from him to jump. Sorry, he mouths at her, but honestly, dude, James? Somehow, he manages to keep reading. We did it. We're almost there. 2 more days and we'll be back. Full disclosure, I am probably going to be a little much. I can already feel it. I'm going to miss you like crazy, Reg. I always miss you. So listen, this is what I've been thinking about today. You and me in the pros. It's basically guaranteed to happen, so it's barely even a daydream. Does that sound obnoxious? Whatever, it's true. I can't decide which I like better. Us on the same team, because honestly, we'd be unstoppable. Or us on opposing teams, because baby, that sexual attention, killer. Either way, we'd be such a power couple. They'd make like posters and shit with our faces on them. Oh my God, James, Regulus mutters, smiling despite himself. We could put them up in our house. Yes, we have a house. We're international Quidditch stars, so it's probably like a super amazing house too. We'd both make it on the national team, obviously, and go off and win the Quidditch World Cup for England. Then retire at 35 and fuck off to a beach somewhere. I'm telling you, Reg, the two of us, together, we could conquer the world. Regulus feels his heart squeezed too tight. See, these are the things I think about. Sometimes I wonder if you know, if you think maybe this is just me messing around or something, but it isn't. When I think about my future, I think about you. Us. It feels right, Reg. I don't know how to make you see that. I know it's not right now, but it will be. We can get there. We can get anywhere. Anyway, I'll be waiting for you in 2 days in our room. Even if it's too much, if you can't come, it's all right. I just want you to know that I'll be there if you need me. I'll always be there. I love you. James. He hates him. Hates him. He blinks the tears out of his eyes while thinking about how much he hates James Potter. It feels like this every time, like breaking his own heart, but then he supposes that's what this whole thing has been. seeing the pain and heading straight for it, pretending he can be someone else, someone better, someone who deserves to be loved the way James loves. He sniffles, rereading the letter just to torture himself, just to hear it again. He's never thought about his future, never been able to picture it, but the image James paints is beautiful. Not the Quidditch or the fame, but the two of them, together, living in a house. Our house, James had called it. It was selfish of Regulus to let this happen, to let it go on, to let James get sucked in, selfish and dangerous, because Lucius is right. If they find out, his mother, Bella, they'll kill James. Horribly, painfully, slowly, for the dishonor, for the shame of it. They'll make it their personal fucking mission. Taking in Sirius was bad enough, but this? So we're agreed, said the voice in his head. We stop now. We end it. We keep him safe. And it sounds good. It sounds right. The right thing to do, but it's immediately followed by another voice, weak and whiny. I can't. I can't. I can't. You can. I need him. Enough to risk his life, because if he's dead, you can't have him anyway. Fuck, Regulus hisses, pressing the heels of his hands into his eyes. He's been having the same conversation with himself all summer. Round and round in circles it goes. Of course, that was before Lucius explicitly threatened him, before he knew for sure he was getting the mark. You could refuse. Yeah, that'll go over well. What's the worst they can do? Kill me. Would that be so bad? No, probably not, but he doesn't think he'll do it anyway. Dying takes courage. The brave and the bold die. The cowardly are the ones who survive. So we run away. Where? To James's? No. His mother could afford to lose one son. After all, she had a spare. And Sirius had always been too much trouble. But both? Well, Virgo would kill everyone in that fucking house before she let Regulus go. You have to end it. You have to keep him safe. I can't. Regulus sighs, slipping James's letter back into its envelope and getting to his feet. It's a short walk to the gallery from here, and the sun has finally been dimmed by the clouds and the encroaching fall. So he starts moving, hands in pockets, thoughts still running in circles. I can't. It's busy today, the gallery. It's a Saturday, and with the weather, Regulus supposes it's to be expected. There's no entrance fee, but they do take donations, so Regulus always makes sure to bring Muggle money to slip in the little plastic box by the entrance. Hands in his pockets, he wanders through the big rooms, with their towering ceilings and beautiful paintings. He pretends to meander, to be purposeless, with no destination, all the while moving very consciously in the direction of the one painting he wants desperately to see. The one he always wants to see. He can never remember why he fell in love with it in the first place. Just that after he saw it, he couldn't look away. Couldn't stop coming back, wondering what happened, wondering who they were. Eventually, he'd asked one of the tour guides. She'd said a lot of things that he hadn't understood. Words he'd never heard, people, places. So he'd asked her to write it down. Then he'd gone to the Muggle library. I love this one. He blinks, looking beside him to see a lanky girl in mustard yellow bell-bottoms and long, dark braids. Sorry? It's the only word he seems to think of. He's not sure if he means it as a question or a statement. You know what I think it is? He hears an irritating smacking noise and realizes she's chewing gum. Are you allowed gum in here? She looks over at him for the first time, smiling. Why? You gonna tell on me, pretty boy? He honestly has no idea what's going on right now. No, he manages eventually. She nods, satisfied, before turning back to the painting. See, the thing is, you think the tragedy is Patroclus, but it isn't. Regulus finds himself looking at the painting, too. The pale figure in Achilles' arms, the crowd of mourners around him. I mean, look at his face, right? Totally peaceful. He's dead, Regulus says dumbly. She rolls her eyes. Yes, but that's the point, isn't it? Which could mean so many things that Regulus isn't sure where to go with it. The real tragedy is Achilles, she goes on eventually. pointing at the pained face in the center. The people who get left behind. That's what hurts the most. That's what makes this painting so good. Regulus lets his eyes drag between the two faces, the two men who had loved so fiercely, who had made it so far. That isn't the tragedy, he says finally, bringing her dark eyes back to him. No? She pops her gum. He shakes his head. The tragedy is that Achilles could have stopped it. Instead, he lets Patroclus die because he isn't brave enough to face his own fate. The fate he chose when he sailed for Troy. The fate he tries to use Agamemnon to chicken out of at the last minute. Achilles is the death of Patroclus, not Hector. That's the tragedy. Agamemnon sucked, though, and besides, Achilles was defending his honor. Regulus is silent for a moment, staring at the broken figures in front of him. If he'd actually loved him, he would have put the armor on himself. He can feel her watching him. You are a very intense guy. He looks back at her. And you're very blunt. True, holding out her hand. I'm Mary Beth. At first, he isn't sure what she's doing, but then his brain wakes up. Oh, Regulus. They shake. Regulus? She arches her brow. That's a wicked name. Thanks. Mary Beth is also nice? She snorts. Very convincing. Sorry, I'm not good at compliments? People. Ah, she nods wisely. Well, your taste in art definitely doesn't scream fun and approachable, that's for sure. Regulus smiles a little, despite himself. I see you here a lot, she goes on eventually. When Regulus raises his brow, she explains. My mom works here, so I end up spending a lot of time here too. Ah, I guess that makes sense. Regulus once again finds himself with no idea what else to say, how to carry on a basic conversation. No one's ever talked to him here before. This is the part where you explain why you're here so much? Her mouth twitches, like she's trying not to smile. Regulus just blinks back at her. Before looking at the painting in front of them. Really? She asks. Just this one painting? Just 'cause you like it? Regulus answers uncertainly. He honestly hasn't got a better reason for her. She laughs. It's a pretty noise. Fair enough, I guess. There's another pause, both of them staring forward. Well, she goes on eventually, I just thought I'd introduce myself. Put in my own 2 cents about your little obsession. She nods toward the painting. It was nice to meet you, Regulus. There's a look in her eyes, like she's smiling without using her mouth. Flirting, his brain supplies. She's flirting with you. Maybe I'll see you around, huh? She says, while walking away backward. Convince you to look at something else for a change. She winks, before turning around and continuing on her way. He stares after her, thinking about how she has no idea what's happening in the wizarding world. No idea what's coming. That he could kill her with a flick of his wand and at this point probably wouldn't even get in trouble for it. The Death Eaters have the ministry under such tight control. He thinks about the person Mary Beth must think that he is, to look at him like that, to wink at him. How nice it would be to be that boy. He exhales, shoving his hands in his pockets and turning away, heading for the exit. Mary Beth never does see him again. He's seen Voldemort before. Not up close, but he's seen him. It was at Grimmauld Place. His mother had offered it up for some meeting. Regulus had waited on the stairs, just to see who everyone kept whispering about. The man who had the wizarding world in such an uproar. Truthfully, he'd been a little disappointed. Voldemort was just a man, middle-aged, tall, with almost translucently pale skin, exaggerated by his dark hair and dark eyes. He couldn't see anything particularly frightening about him, or inspiring. He just was. And then, his gaze had found Regulus on the landing. Regulus had wondered at the time if it was a spell. Silent, wandless, but a spell. Because the cold feeling that had rushed along his bones then had been so startling, he'd nearly fallen down the stairs. He knew now, standing in front of Voldemort properly, that it hadn't been. They say that the eyes are the windows to the soul. Well, Regulus doesn't know what it is he's looking into, but it doesn't feel like a soul. Doesn't feel alive at all. They're in the dining room. It's smaller than the one at Grimmauld Place, homier, making this all feel much more absurd. That much harder to believe. It's dark out. The floating candles above the table, the only light in the room, illuminating the masked faces that line the walls. Lucius is here. So are Bella and Rodolphus, his mother and father, and others. Some people he's known his whole life. Some people he's never met before. Not that he can tell them apart now. Voldemort stands at the head of the table, in dark robes, Regulus in front of him, several inches shorter, and feeling like a child. The man smiles. It's not a pleasant expression. Regulus Arcturus Black. His voice is higher than Regulus expected it to be, the sound causing the hair to stand up on the back of his neck. Voldemort's head twitches to the side, like a snake, sizing up its prey. Regulus is used to it. He's been looked at like that before. My lord? The words feel like they've come from someone else's mouth. Your family has been a great source of support for me during these long years. It is their wish for you to receive this honor, to join us here, and out of my gratitude to them, I have agreed. But I need you to understand what it means to bear my mark, to bind your life to mine. He shakes his sleeve back, showing his own mark. We will become one, you and I. You will feel me when I need you, when I call, when I'm strong, when I'm weak. This is not empty symbolism. It connects us. Another smile. This man is all teeth. Regulus takes it back. Not like a snake. Like a wolf. We are a family. There's a quiet rumbling of agreement around the room. You are young. He lets his sleeve drop back down over his forearm. So I will give you the mercy of reconsidering. If you do not feel you can give yourself to me as you must, as this demands, as your parents have. His dark eyes take hold of Regulus to keep him still, unable to move, to think, to see anything but him. You have a choice. Like two empty pits in his face, dark and swelling, pulling Regulus under, drowning him. Will you choose us? Achilles should have put the armor on himself. You're beautiful. He should have accepted that some things can't be changed. Some endings can't be rewritten. Okay, Reg. Yeah, I'm yours. You're mine, too. He should have fallen on his sword before he let Patroclus go out there, knowing how dangerous it was, knowing what could happen. I love you. Say it again. He told James, told him ages ago that he wasn't a very good person, told him over and over again that he wouldn't be able to do the right thing, to stop this, to end this. He still can't. I love you, Regulus. He never should have been with James in the first place. And not even because of his family, because of the politics, but because of who Regulus is. Mangled, damaged, and compromised. Maybe if it had happened earlier, if he had known James before he let his family twist him up. I just want you to know that I'll be there if you need me. I'll always be there. Regulus had let himself pretend things could be different, but he won't do that anymore. This is who he is, who he was always going to be. And he won't get James killed trying to fight fate. He'll only lose. They always lose. He swallows, eyes still holding Voldemort's stare, unwavering. I choose you. Chapter endnotes. Believe it or not, the next chapter is actually going to be pretty fluffy, so there is that to hold on to. Thank you for all the comments. I honestly would respond to them all, but I always worry that would get annoying for some reason. But I see you, I appreciate you, and you make this very fun. Chapter 20. Chapter notes. Trigger warning. Referenced sexual assault. It's too hot for the jumper he's wearing. He keeps pulling at it, fabric itchy against his sweaty skin, making it impossible to ignore. He'd take it off, but he needs something with sleeves. There's already an annoying voice in his head saying it's not enough, that somehow people will know, that his sleeve will ride up, that it'll bleed through the fabric, slither down his arm.
Blimey, you look miserable.
Evan is leaning against a pillar next to him, waiting for the train to arrive. He's got a bag of candied popcorn in his hands that he insists on eating by throwing pieces in the air and catching them with his mouth. He keeps looking over at the group of fourth-year girls to the left of them to see if they're watching. They are not. "I thought that was my role," Regulus says dryly, eyes lazily scanning the platform. "I'm the miserable one. You're the optimist."
What does that make Barty?
"You figure out what Barty is and you let me know." Evan laughs. His laugh is all nose. Makes him sound like a perpetual 12-year-old.
Honestly, I can't believe you came back. If I were you, I would be so fucking out of here.
His mother had tried to stop him, but eventually he had managed to convince her that there was still some value in his education, even if it was just because it kept him closer to Dumbledore, behind enemy lines, collecting information, etc., etc. "Surprisingly enough," he says eventually, "I do like being educated." Evan snorts.
That's why you're so miserable.
Regulus can't help the smirk that pulls at his mouth. "Probably."
I'm telling you, Reg, the less you know, the better life is.
Ah, the Evan Rosier life motto. When in doubt, be a fucking idiot. They both laugh now, catching the attention of aforementioned fourth-year girls. Regulus imagines it's because of the noise and not some suddenly materializing desire, but Evan appears to be of a different opinion.
Hey, hold this, will you?
He smacks his popcorn into the middle of Regulus's chest. "Merlin, Evan, leave it." But it's no use. His friend is already walking away, an overly exaggerating swagger in his step. Regulus rolls his eyes, leaning back against the pillar and glaring down at the popcorn in his hands. It's an unappealing blue color that Regulus can't quite believe is edible. His arm twinges. He's pretty sure it's in his head. Or at least that's what he tells himself. Just like he tells himself nothing is trapped under his skin. Nothing is squirming below the surface. He curls and flexes his fingers like that'll help, trying to think about something else.
Hey.
The word is soft and quiet, and it still makes Regulus jump, still makes him drop Evan's disgusting popcorn on the floor, still makes his pulse race. He turns around to find James behind him, sheepish smile on his face, eyes bright. "Don't look at me like that," Regulus wants to tell him. "You don't know what I've done." He opens his mouth, but no sound comes out. He meant to be more prepared than this, meant to wrap himself in an armor of apathy and disdain. He hadn't expected James to just walk up to him but of course he should have. It's so like him. He's been quiet for too long, and he can see the worry start to crease James's brow. He should let it. He should turn around and walk away. He's usually better at this, at being an asshole. "Where are they?" he asks instead. James doesn't seem to need clarification to know he's talking about the other marauders, gesturing over his shoulder.
"Just there. I can't stay long, but I saw you and I just..."
There's that smile again, and Regulus wonders if it's too late to cut off his arm. Not that it would make a difference.
What the hell, Reg? I told you to hold my popcorn and not feed it to the bloody birds.
Regulus very briefly closes his eyes. Fuck. James has already gone stiff, Evan coming to an abrupt stop as he realizes who Regulus is talking to. There's a moment of surprise before an unsettling smile stretches across his face. "Well, look who it is. You just can't leave my mate alone here, can you?" "Drop it, Evan." Regulus tries to nudge him away, but he isn't having it, staring at James like someone's just told him it's Christmas morning, which can't be good.
"Are you referring to the time I kicked your ass?"
James asks, cocky smile spreading across his face and doing unhelpful things to Regulus's chest, "because that's one of my fondest memories." Evan's eyes go sharp. "How's your dad, Potter?" The change is so quick it's almost frightening. The mocking humor drains from James's face,
replaced by an anger that burns, and Regulus can't help but feel like he's missed something. "'Cause the last time I saw him," Evan goes on, having absolutely no self-preservation instinct to speak of, "he was in a right state, could barely walk." And then several things click into place. Like the fact that Evan, just be a fucking idiot Rosier, spent his summer attacking ministry employees, and that Fremont Potter is in fact a ministry employee. "I'm gonna destroy you," James growls. "Well, let's hope you throw a punch better than your dad, yeah?" Things move quickly then. Both James and Evan step forward, Regulus moving between them, one arm wrapping around Evan's chest and hauling him backwards, bracing for the impact of James's fist, which had already been pulled back. It doesn't come, though. What does come is the sound of a new voice. Whoa, mate, hold on," Sirius says behind him. "You piece of shit," James shouts. "You spineless, pathetic fucking wanker. Come and get me, Potter. Come and get me and we'll see if you cry just like your daddy," Evan shouts over Regulus's shoulder. Regulus slams him against the pillar behind them, able to turn just enough to see Sirius in a similar position with James. Their eyes meet. "Rudge," he says by way of greeting, voice slightly labored as he continues to struggle with his best mate. "Sirius, we really have got to stop meeting like this." Regulus lets out a breath of laughter before shoving Evan back again as he makes another attempt to break free. "I'll have my people call your people," he says dryly. "You know people?" Sirius huffs. "I'm shocked." It almost feels natural, this back and forth, and for a minute, Regulus can pretend that they're on the same side, that they don't hate each other. That is, until Evan's hand grabs hold of his left arm and everything goes white, pain searing through him as he drops to his hands and knees. That definitely wasn't in his head. "Fuck," is the first thing he hears once the pounding in his ears clear. "Fuck, Reg, I'm sorry." Regulus's skin is burning hot, covered in sweat. He tries to breathe through it. It's not the worst pain he's ever felt, it just caught him off guard. "It'll fade," his father had said to him before he left. He'd been holding Regulus's arm out in front of him, running a gentle hand over the fresh mark. Regulus hadn't known if it was the ink or the pain his father was talking about. "What the fuck did you do to him?" That's James. Regulus opens his eyes, not realizing he'd closed them in the first place. "Reg?" He looks over to see Evan crouch beside him, ignoring James completely. Regulus shakes his head. "I'm fine," he croaks. "It's fine." "Something happened to your arm, Reg?" Sirius asks, the cold edge in his voice sending fear dripping down Regulus's spine. Of course, Sirius would notice. He makes sure to keep his expression neutral when he turns back to his brother. "Just Evan's claw-like nails. You're lucky he didn't get a shot at your face, Potter. Your fans would never have recovered." James looks like he can't decide whether to be worried or pissed, eyes bouncing back and forth between Regulus and Evan. But Sirius doesn't take his eyes off of Regulus. Regulus can practically feel him trying to pick him apart, and he has to resist the urge to pull down his sleeve. "Come on." Sirius finally looks away, shoving James back in the direction they came from. "Let's go, Prongs. They're not worth it." James resists for about a second, sending Regulus one last look before reluctantly allowing Sirius to haul him away. "Yeah, you better—" "Evan, shut the fuck up," Regulus snaps, pushing himself back to his feet. Evan gapes at him. "I can't believe you went after Fremont Potter," Regulus hisses, careful to make sure no one is near enough to overhear. "Do you have any idea how important he is?" "Some idea," Evan says defensively. "And you just thought you'd rub it in his son's face, did you? You could be sent to Azkaban for the rest of your fucking life," says the bloke with the dark mark on his arm. Regulus freezes for a second. Just a second, before shoving Evan into the pillar again, just because it feels good. "Fine. Fuck it. Go ahead. In fact, while you're at it, why don't you just pop up to Dumbledore's office and let him know what you've been up to all summer, huh?" Evan glares at him. "Yes, all right, I get it. You've made your point, but it's not as though Potter has any proof, does he? Besides, everyone knows Azkaban's ours these days. Regulus feels something in his stomach squirm, but he pushes it down. So what if the Death Eaters have control of Azkaban? Of the Ministry? He always knew this was how it was going to be. Always knew they would win. There's no point in caring about something that's inevitable. His eyes trail momentarily to the spot where Sirius and James had disappeared, and he wonders if they know. If they have any idea how lost their cause is. Reg? Regulus looks up at the sound of his name. Something about Evan's expression tells him he's said it a few times. I really am sorry about... He trails off, but he looks pointedly at Regulus's left arm. Regulus sighs. Yeah, Evan, I know. He's not sure why he thought he could talk any sense into Evan. He was stupid and reckless when they were kids, and he's stupid and reckless now. Regulus exhales, pinching the bridge of his nose, feeling almost comically old. Come on, he says eventually. Let's go find Barty, make sure we get a compartment together. Evan arches his brow. Don't you have to go to that SWAT meeting? Regulus groans. Fuck, I forgot about that. He was somewhat shocked to find a prefect badge in his school letter this summer. He's still not convinced it wasn't a mistake. Evan snorts, the noise of the approaching train in the background. You and Snape will have a blast, I'm sure. We always do, he says fatly, watching the train pull into the station, all noise and smoke. Oh my God, Mom, look! Regulus follows the voice to a particularly tiny-looking first year. Eyes wide, luggage nearly the same size as her. As hard as he tries, he can't remember being that young. I mean, he can remember being 11, but not like that. Not the type to light up at the sight of a train. What he does remember is thinking, what if it crashes? What if there aren't enough seats for everyone? What if I get lost? Sirius, slow down. Wait for me. Wait for me. Wait. He doesn't recognize the girl's mother. Not a pureblood, then. Go back, he wants to tell her. It isn't what you think. This world is full of wolves. Oh, look. Evan elbows him, bringing his attention forward. There's our boy. Through the crowd, Regulus can just pick out Barty Crouch, leaning against his trunk, ankles crossed, a smug look on his face. And just slightly behind him, a man in ministry robes. His father sent one of his lackeys again, I see, Regulus says as they move toward him. It's not like our parents are here waving us up. At least his old man cares enough to send someone. Yeah, but it bothers Barty more than us. Evan rolls his eyes. Bloody daddy issues. So predictable, the pair of you. Regulus doesn't bother arguing. The train is moving by the time Regulus starts making his way toward the prefect's carriage, leaving his stuff with Evan and Barty, who give a good amount of grief to him for the badge now pinned to his chest. He still has no idea what Slughorn or Dumbledore were thinking about giving him this thing. Maybe they want to keep a closer eye on him, keep him out of trouble. Not that he's ever gotten into trouble, mind you, but that's more Sirius's area of expertise. There's someone standing at the door to the prefect's carriage when Regulus gets there. He slows down, watching her bounce up and down on her tippy toes, peering inside. He knows her, he realizes. She's the Greengrass girl, Circe, his year. Deciding whether or not to go in, he asks, causing her to jump and spin around. She's pretty, freckles and tawny skin, with the biggest eyes you've ever seen. It all ends up making her look very deer-like. She laughs. Sorry, hey, hi, She cuts herself off, sending him a look and lowering her voice. I have to be honest, I don't really know what I'm doing here. I'm completely useless. I'm not sure what they expect me to do with this. She gestures to the pin on her robes. Regulus smiles a little, nodding to his own. Trust me, I understand. She exhales. Oh, thank Merlin I'm not the only one. He stands next to her, following her gaze through the glass door. Who's all there? He asks, trying to make out the blurry faces. Everyone? I mean, no one I know, obviously. Well, no one I know. Like, I know of them, but I don't know about them. And they certainly don't know about me. It's a very base level knowing, you know? Regulus looks over at her. Sure. He can't decide if her frazzled demeanor is endearing or annoying. Hey! Her face lights up suddenly, and she smacks his arm. I just realized. We're partners. Regulus arches a brow. I don't think that's how it... Honestly, I'm glad it's you. She hawks over him. You're scary, don't get me wrong, but I was worried it was going to be Parkinson. She leans in, lowering her voice and cupping her hand around her mouth. He asked me out in third year and did not take the rejection well. Regulus snorts, despite himself. He's never liked Parkinson. You think I'm scary? He can't help but ask. She nods without hesitating. Absolutely. Terrifying. You do this whole brooding stare thing and those eyes? She shivers. But hey, at least you didn't ask me out in third year and then knock over my pumpkin juice and start crying when I turned you down. Regulus actually chokes on his laughter when it comes out of him so unexpectedly. No, well, he has to stop, still trying to pull himself together. You don't need to worry about that with me. I'm not really big on dating. Gosh, me neither. Sounds bloody terrible, doesn't it? My mates are always on me about it, but honestly, having a boy's tongue down their throats hasn't made any of their lives any better. Regulus has no idea what he's meant to say to that, still fighting to maintain some level of decorum. If nothing else, this girl sure can paint a vivid picture. She opens her mouth again. Regulus isn't sure if she has an off switch, but it's another voice that cuts across the train. Well, this is just pathetic. Severus Snape makes his way toward them, looking every inch the miserable son of a bitch he always does, maybe even slightly more miserable. He runs them both up and down with great disdain. I mean, really, you two? There used to be some pride in this house. Regulus just looks back at him blankly. If there's one person he has no energy for, it's Severus Snape. I mean, apparently Salazar Slytherin was actually a bit of a hermit who mistrusted the Muggle ritual of regular bathing, so I'm not really sure if that's true, Circe says, very matter of fact. Regulus snorts. He's not sure what's funnier, the fact that Circe has apparently memorized information about Salazar Slytherin's grooming habits, or the look on Snape's face. It really is impressive the amount of disdain he's able to fit inside those beady little eyes of his. After the stony silence, Snape gestures impatiently at the door. Go on, then. Surely between the two of you, someone can open a door. Regulus rolls his eyes, sliding the door open, but purposefully blocking Snape's path as he gestures for Circe to go in first. After you, he says to her, which causes a smile to spread across her face. Oh, thank you. Wow. She slips inside. Regulus is about to follow when Snape reaches out and grabs his arm. His right one, thankfully. It still sends shocks through him, though. Just different ones. Memories of Lucius hauling him off the ground, grabbing his face, his hair. It's work not to flinch, not to drop Snape's gaze. He hopes the other boy can't feel him shake. Is it true? Snape asks, dark eyes narrowed. I don't know what you're talking about. Snape tightens his grip. Don't play stupid with me, Black. Have you been... Regulus? Reg looks back over his shoulder to see Circe standing a few feet inside, eyes moving between him and Snape, brow arched in question. Come on, she says eventually, nodding at the seats behind her. We're sitting together, right, partner? It takes Regulus a minute to realize that she's trying to save him. He blinks, turning back to Snape, who seems similarly surprised, making it easy enough for Regulus to pull himself free. Yeah, he clears his throat, straightening out his robes. Yeah, coming. Regulus. But Reg has already turned his back on Snape, Circe smiling as he follows into step behind her. Thanks, he says softly. She looks over at him and winks. Regulus doesn't know the head boy and head girl. Neither of them are from Slytherin, and both are far too perky for his liking, far too excited about scheduling.
Professor McGonagall has said she wants patrol teams to be more mixed this year. The boy, blonde-haired and blue eyes, is smiling. That means you won't just be running patrols with your housemates, he goes on, a collective groan emanating from the carriage. Wow, rude, Circe whispers from beside him. Can't split up the dream team. She nudges him playfully. He arches his brow. Dream team? You're right, too generic. I'll brainstorm some new names and get back to you. Despite himself, Regulus smiles. The pair for the rest of the train ride have already been decided. The head girl holds up a clipboard.
And the schedule for the next month will be posted in the prefect office after the feast, so make sure you stop by and write down your shifts. Missing shifts is not acceptable, okay, people? Neither is being late. We plan on running a tight ship this year.
Her smile is wide enough that it's starting to feel unsettling.
Okay, so for our first train shift we have...
Not me, not me, not me. His arm has started aching, and all he wants to do is go back to his compartment and nap to the sound of Barty and Evan's inane chatter.
Regulus Black and Remus Lupin,
she says brightly. Regulus sighs, closing his eyes.
Oh, come on. It's not that bad. Remus is nice.
He turns to Cersei. Ignoring the rest of the names, the head girl rattles off for the remaining shifts. You're friends with Remus Lupin?
She shrugs. He holds a study group sometimes.
Of course he does.
Okie dokie, the head girl's voice cuts through the carriage again. That's it for now. I think we have a really good group here, and I'm so excited to get started. Let's have a great year, everybody.
There's a smattering of half-enthused applause. It's work for Regulus to not roll his eyes. Everyone starts getting to their feet and shuffling out the door. He can see Lupin up near the front in the carriage with Lily Evans. The sight of her makes something ugly and Regulus rear its head. He, like everyone else in the school, had a front row seat to James's obsession with her. So yeah, Regulus is jealous, which is stupid and pointless, but unfortunately, when it comes to James Potter, Regulus is plagued with a host of stupid and pointless feelings.
I'll see you later, partner.
Cersei pulls him out of his thoughts as she pats his arm, heading for the door. You sure do get attached quick, huh? I thought I was scary.
Oh, you are, she shoots over her shoulder. But I happen to like scary.
He watches her go with a slightly bemused look on his face, certain he has never met a person he understood less. Eventually, he turns around to see Evans and Lupin making their way toward him. The carriage is still a little crowded, with lingering groups of friends catching up after the summer, which is maybe how Snape doesn't see them as he slides out of his own booth, head down, hair hanging in front of his eyes. Oh, Lupin mutters as they collide, stumbling back. It's nothing, really. Not until Snape realizes who he's running into. What the hell? Don't fucking touch me. He jumps back, staring at Lupin like he's done a lot more than just casually bump into him. Regulus's eyes bounce between them, trying to figure out what he's missed. But Remus just looks resigned, holding up his hands in surrender. You ran into me, Snape. You should be more careful, you fucking animal.
Okay.
Evan steps between the pair of them, staring Snape down.
You can go, Severus.
Something complicated contorts Snape's face.
Lily, go. Now.
Behind her, Lupin has gone pale, which also, in Regulus's opinion, seems like a bit of an overreaction. There's a moment where it looks like Snape might actually fight her, a bad move on his part, since Regulus is fairly certain Evans could lay him out flat, but then he steps back. Really picking sides these days, aren't you, Lily? He says bitterly. If he's expecting those words to wound her, he must be disappointed, because Evans doesn't even flinch.
Pot, meat, kettle,
she says dryly. I'm just saying, you should be careful who you hang around with.
Again, the irony of that coming from you.
Snape rolls his eyes. Fine, whatever. But I tried to warn you. He gives Lupin another scathing look before turning on his heel and booking it out of the carriage. There's a flash of something like sadness in Evan's green eyes before she turns to Lupin.
You all right?
She asks. He nods slowly and then, after a second, seems to wake up, eyes refocusing. Lily Evans, my hero. He smiles dryly. She rolls her eyes.
Don't start.
James would be very proud.
Ah, yes, my mission in life, to please James Potter.
It's irrational. He knows it is, but part of him wants to rip James's name out of her mouth. Never let it pass her lips again. Lupin looks like he's going to speak, but stops when his eyes find Regulus over Evan's shoulder. Black, he says, causing the red-headed girl to turn around. Lupin.
Oh, wow.
Evans has a slightly mesmerized look on her face as she runs him over.
Sorry, I didn't realize how much you looked like him until now.
Regulus just stares at her, straight-faced. He's taller. She shoots Lupin a look, clearly uncertain what to do with him.
I guess that's...
And funnier, Lupin supplies, nearly matching Regulus's deadpan tone. The two boys share a pointed look before Lupin breaks and turns to Lily. You should go. No point hanging around here longer than you have to.
You're sure you're all right with everything?
There's no doubt in Regulus's mind that he's included in that everything. Lupin gives her a weak smile. Yeah, I'm all right, Lils.
Okay. See you later?
Remus nods as she starts toward the door.
Regulus,
she says as she passes him. He's slightly thrown by the use of his first name, but still manages a clipped Evans before she's out the door and beyond hearing, leaving just him and Lupin. He looks back at the older boy who sighs. I'm supposed to show you the ropes. A beat of silence. Sounds thrilling, Regulus says flatly. Lupin gives him a dry smile. It's only 2 hours. Let's just get through it. Regulus nods in agreement. He hasn't the energy to be difficult, and by the looks of it, neither does Lupin. The older boy starts moving and Regulus follows. So the train's pretty straightforward, he says as they exit the carriage. Basically, you just do laps up and down. Technically, you're allowed to check the compartments, but no one ever does, unless, you hear someone being murdered or something. You get a lot of murder attempts on the Hogwarts Express. Lupin snorts. You'd be surprised. Regulus doubts it. You can dock points, but on the train that's pretty redundant since no one has any. Also, you can't take points from other prefects. They move to the side as a group of Hufflepuffs pass them. 2 of them giggle, eyes moving from Lupin's face to the floor and back up again. The third girl, apparently less shy, waves.
Hey, Remus.
Remus smiles mildly. Hey, good summer? A blush blooms across her face.
Yeah, brilliant. You?
He shrugs. It was all right. Can't complain. I'll see you around, yeah?
Yeah.
She joins her friends in their giggling. Regulus struggles not to roll his eyes as they continue along the carriage. Hufflepuff outreach part of prefect duties? Lupin huffs out a laugh. Honestly, I have no idea who any of those people were. It's a side effect of being friends with James and Sirius. He shoots Regulus a look almost immediately after he speaks, but Regulus keeps his expression blank. Fans, you mean? Lupin wrinkles his nose. I guess. I expect they're more thrilled about that than you are. They keep walking, and moving into the next car, passing a few more students as they go. More waving happens, though Lupin doesn't stop to talk to any of them. Eventually, he speaks again, sounding the whole time like he's not sure if he's supposed to. I don't think James notices, honestly. He sends Regulus a sidelong look. Sirius does, though. Plays it up a bit. Regulus nods. Makes sense. There's an annoying tightness in his chest every time Lupin says James's name. A pain just under his ribs, soft and aching. He finds his hand absent-mindedly rubbing his sternum. He hasn't figured out how he's going to do it, how he's going to end things, what he's going to say. He could always show him the mark, he supposes. Then there'd be no need to say anything. After a long period of silence, Lupin speaks, voice quieter this time. James said Rosier attacked his dad. Regulus can feel Lupin's eyes on him. Is that true? Fucking Evan. It's a blessing, really, that Regulus hasn't been there that night. He's not sure what he would have done. Probably nothing. He probably would have stood back and watched, added it to the list of things James is never going to forgive him for. I don't know what you're talking about, is the answer he gives, making sure to meet Lupin's stare when he says it, to show him the neutral expression on his face. For a moment, he actually thinks he sees disappointment in Lupin's eyes, but then it's gone. I'm sure James will believe you when you tell him that. Regulus grits his teeth, annoyed that the dig actually bothers him. You think he's gullible? I think he would never lie to you, so he won't expect you to lie to him. There's an irritating stoic quality to Remus, something unflappable. It makes Regulus want to poke him. What happened back there with Snape? He asks, figuring that's a good place to start. Almost instantly, he feels the older boy tense. "We're not exactly friends," Lupin says evasively, looking out the window beside him. It's work for Regulus not to smile. "Got you," he thinks. That was a little more than just not friendly back there. That was fear. Lupin snorts. "I'm not afraid of Severus Snape." "No," Regulus agrees, "but he's afraid of you." He sees it again, the jolt of tension that runs through Lupin, the clenching of his jaw. So afraid, Regulus goes on, that he completely lost control in there, which he doesn't normally do in general, but specifically not in front of Evans. Still, Lupin says nothing, watching the Scottish countryside roll by like it's the most fascinating fucking thing he's ever seen. "He's scared of you," Regulus repeats, "and you feel bad about it." "I don't feel bad about it." His expression is neutral, but there's a new tension in his voice that lets Regulus know he's winning. "You do. You didn't enjoy it at all." "Do most people enjoy being frightening?" Lupin asks, failing to keep his voice light. "Oh, come on. If he'd acted that way around my brother, Sirius would have lapped up every second of it." "Yes, well, some of us have a little more fucking humanity than Sirius Bloody Black." That actually takes Regulus by surprise. The anger. And not directed at Snape. Sirius hurt someone. That's what James said. Someone important. "You and my brother haven't made up then?" He finds himself asking before he can think better of it. Lupin's eyes snap to him. "Did James tell you?" Regulus can't quite figure out his expression. Fear? Anger? It's one of those. Or both. Normally he'd toy with him for a bit more, but he doesn't want to make things difficult for James. "No, not really, just that my brother messed up, and that he didn't think you could forgive him." Lupin holds his stare for a moment longer before looking away again. "Well, he's managed that last bit." It's undeniable, the bitterness in his voice, and before Regulus can stop himself, a dry laugh falls out of his mouth. Lupin sends him a look like he thinks he's lost it. "Sorry," Regulus shakes his head. "I just didn't expect us to have anything in common." "We have something in common?" Lupin sounds hesitant, like he's afraid of what the answer might be. "Yeah, we're jealous." Lupin comes to a stop near the end of the car, facing Regulus properly for the first time. "Jealous of what?" Regulus waves his hand indistinctly in the air. "Of the two of them. James and Sirius. Sirius and James. Their names have practically molded into one, they're said together so often. They, I don't know, make sense together. You've seen it." After a moment, Lupin nods. "And you just know that nothing will ever matter to them as much as they matter to each other," Regulus goes on, feeling the familiar barbs of jealousy that have been there since he was 10 years old. "Drives me mental." Lupin actually laughs at that, leaning back against the wall behind him. "You know, sometimes they don't even have to speak." He swipes a hand across his face. "They'll just look at each other and it's like they know. And I want that. I want But he cuts himself off. And Regulus finds himself wondering what it is that Remus Lupin wants so badly he won't say it out loud. "I hated James for it at first," Regulus goes on after a brief pause, "for being so close to him." Lupin arches his brow. "And now?" "Now I hate them both. Bloody confusing, honestly." Lupin gives him an earnest smile, different entirely from every way he's looked at him before. "I know that feeling." And then, as if he's worried he's given something away, he wipes his expression clean, standing up a little straighter. Regulus watches as a pair of Ravenclaws pass them, small and murmuring, arms linked. It always surprises him how young the other years look, when in reality there's so little space between them. "You never told James." Lupin brings his attention back to him. "Told him? There are a lot of things he's never told James, though which of them Lupin knows, he hasn't had a clue." "What I said to you in the hallway that day." Regulus blinks. It hadn't really occurred to him before. "Oh, No, I didn't. Lupin crosses his arms over his chest, giving him an appraising look. I can't figure out why, he says eventually. You could have used it against me. Regulus almost laughs. Believe it or not, I don't actually have anything against you. I threatened to dismember you. Regulus shrugs. You are protecting him. If anything, I respect it. A slightly bemused look comes across Lupin's face. You would have come out looking better for it. James would have been pissed at me. That's certainly true. It only would have upset him, he says simply. Still, it would have been in your favor. I don't really consider James being upset as being in my favor. Lupin leans back, as though seeing him for the first time. I thought... He trails off, and then shakes his head and starts again. I thought maybe you were just doing it to get back at Sirius. Oh. That's fair, he says, though his stomach has just pulled itself into a knot. But no, not quite. Lupin keeps staring at him before eventually giving up, like Regulus is a math equation he can't parcel out. I don't get it. I don't, but he is mad about you. Regulus feels that knot in his stomach pull tighter. And as hard as it is for me to believe, I think you might actually care about him too. More than breathing. Is this you giving us your blessing? Regulus asks dryly, thankful that none of his feelings bleed into his voice. Lupin laughs. No, absolutely not. This is a terrible bloody idea, and no offense, but I don't like you very much. The feeling's mutual. Lupin bows his head, accepting this. I'm just saying... He seems to fight with the words in his mouth. I'm just saying I am mildly less opposed to it than I was before. Regulus wants to tell him not to worry, that he'll do the right thing for once, that he'll put an end to this before he hurts James too much, before he breaks him beyond repair. It would be such a tragedy to dim James Potter's light. But of course, he doesn't say any of that. He doesn't say anything. Lupin gives him one last look before he starts walking again, throwing his next words over his shoulder. But God help you both when Sirius finds out. He really wasn't going to go. Wasn't going to meet James in their room. Not tonight, not any night. It would be better that way. Easier. They'd talk somewhere public. Somewhere that James couldn't make a scene. Somewhere that Regulus couldn't kiss him. Touch him, couldn't even think about those things. It's done. We're done. We never should have started. But now, we're done. He meant to be cold and detached. Meant to be precise. A clean break. Better for the both of them. What is it people are always saying? Rip the Band-Aid off? Something like that. That's what Regulus was going to do. So he doesn't know how he ends up standing inside the door of the come-and-go room, staring at a beaming James Potter and feeling every ounce of his self-control fading away. Stop it, he wants to shout at James, just like on the platform. Stop looking at me like that, like I mean something to you. I shouldn't. I can't. You should have known better. I tried to warn you. Hi, James says eventually, almost shyly. Hi, Regulus returns. James is practically bouncing on the balls of his feet, like an overexcited puppy. No one has ever wanted Regulus like this. Honestly, he's not sure anyone has ever wanted him at all. He feels a spark run up his left arm. Can I... James holds out his hand. No. Yeah. There's barely a breath between the word leaving his mouth and James pressing into him, pushing him back until he hits the wall behind him. James's mouth on his, hands in his hair, under his shirt, skating over his skin. James is everywhere. He's all-consuming. He's warm and heavy and solid. Regulus is helpless against it. He knew it would be like this. That's why he did what he did. There's no taking it back now. All he has to do is roll up his sleeve, and James will leave and never look back. And James will be safe. But Regulus doesn't roll up his sleeve. Sorry, James is whispering, his breath hot against Regulus's neck. Too much? Yes. No. Regulus closes his eyes as James moves under his jaw, down to his shoulder, pushing his shirt collar out of the way, lips trailing along his clavicle. Tell me, James says, voice breathy. Tell me if you need. Tell me to stop. Regulus's hands sweep up James's back, strong from all the Quidditch, fingers tangling themselves in his hair. No. James growls, and suddenly his mouth is back on Regulus's, and Regulus tells himself not to think. Just this once. James picks him up, holds him against the wall. It's too much. It's too fast. It shouldn't be happening at all. Regulus knows all of that, but he does nothing to stop it. Because he wants, and maybe he can have it. Just this one time. Just for this moment. After that, he'll give James up. He will. He just needs a little bit more. They end up on the bed. They kiss and kiss and kiss. Kissing James has always felt like flying to Regulus, like the thing he was made to do. The only part of his life that doesn't feel like drowning. The problem is, there's always the moment when it gets all messed up, all tangled in everything that came before. He wishes it didn't. He wishes it was simple, because he wants. Sometimes he wants James so much that he thinks he'll die from it. It's too much. It's too fast. But maybe that's okay. Maybe it can hurt this time. Maybe it's supposed to, if it means he gets to have him. He can pretend a little longer that he belongs to someone. And before he can think about it, the words are tumbling out of his mouth. I think we should have sex. Is all James says, kissing the point between his neck and his shoulder. Stop, says the rational part of Regulus's brain. It's too much. It's too fast. No, I think we should really, properly have sex. James stills. After all the movement, the hands and mouths and breath, it feels loud, his stillness. A few seconds pass before James pulls back, sitting up so he's straddling Reg's hips, his face flushed, hair more mussed than usual. You mean? Regulus nods. Too much. Too fast. Yeah, Regulus swallows. That's what I mean. James just keeps looking at him, eyes wide, hands running through his hair. Eventually, he laughs. It's a nervous sound. Skittish. Regulus can see the new tension in his shoulders, and the way he holds himself. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I don't think I'm ready for that. And being the self-involved narcissist that he is, Regulus hadn't considered that James would say no. Hadn't considered what this would mean to him. Oh, is what comes out of his mouth. Which is the wrong thing. He instantly sees the uncertainty flicker across James's face. Is that okay? James asks, rubbing the back of his neck the way he does when he gets nervous. Yes. Regulus hates his voice sometimes. How even when he tries to make it warm and soft, it never comes out that way. There's too much black in him. Too much of his mother. Yes, he tries again. Yes, it's okay. Of course it was a stupid thing to ask anyway. I don't even know. His throat is suddenly dry, anxiety building under his skin. Too much, too fast. He just wants it to go away. He wants to be able to do this normal thing. He just wants to pretend for a moment that he's somebody else, somebody that deserves to be here, but he can't, because the memories are always there, a rotting feeling in the pit of his stomach. Too much, too fast. Sorry, he says again, because he doesn't know what else to say. Hey, whoa, don't be. James looks at him a little curiously. Reg, you get to, ask for stuff. Ask for the stuff you want. He doesn't know why that makes something in him ache. It's too hot. It's too much. His arm is fucking killing him, and he can't look at James, but he also can't look away. And he's so tired of feeling like this. Is it, though? James asks gently, breaking the silence, still looking at Regulus like he's not sure what he's seeing. What you want, I mean. Are you ready for... Regulus doesn't know how to answer that question. No, and he never will be. It will always feel like this, because he's broken, but he just wanted... His hands come up to his face, hiding it from view, and he must be tired or wrecked or something to let the next words come out of his mouth. I just wanted to be with you. It's so pathetic, so utterly pathetic and desperate and grasping, as though sex would change anything, would make him feel better about walking away, would make him feel whole. Reg, hey, look at me. He doesn't want to. He doesn't know how to. Regulus. No one says his name like James. Like it's worth something. It's a few more seconds before he's able to let his hands fall away from his face, forcing his eyes up to meet the boy still hovering above him. You have me, James says softly, running a finger along Regulus's jaw that sends shivers through his whole body. We have time. And don't those words just feel like a knife in his side? Regulus doesn't answer. Can't really, if he's being honest. So he lets James run his gentle fingers along the shapes of his face, his neck, his shoulders. Purposeless touches. More reassurance than anything else. They say, I'm here. But all Regulus can think is, you shouldn't be. I've never... James starts eventually, clearing his throat. I've never done that before. Regulus blinks, coming back to himself. You mean with the boy? James lets out a breath of laughter. I mean with anyone. It isn't that Regulus hasn't guessed that. It's just that sometimes he still forgets. Forgets that there's the James Potter who everyone sees, this larger-than-life, cocky asshole, and then there's the actual James Potter. Just a boy who loves people more than he probably should. But James struggles with his words. You have? Regulus feels too tight. His chest, his throat. Yes, he finally manages to say. James nods above him. With the guy you were seeing before? We weren't seeing each other. He's struggling to breathe. Can you? He taps on James's thigh, which by some miracle seems to be enough for him to understand. Oh, yeah, sorry. He slides off, Regulus sitting up, feet planting on the floor at the end of the bed. James is sitting next to him, and Regulus doesn't look at him. Can't right now. He presses the heels of his hands into his eyes, trying to get himself back under control. He's supposed to be better than this. Reg? James says gently. Regulus doesn't know how long they've been sitting in silence. Yes, sorry. He pulls himself up straight, finding the posture that was beaten into him throughout his childhood. Blacks don't slouch. Okay, you really need to stop apologizing. Regulus isn't sure that's true, that it ever will be. All he feels is regret. He's made of apologies. We don't... James starts and stops. Regulus still can't look at him. Eyes focused on the hands in his lap. James sighs and starts again. We don't have to talk about it if you don't want to, but something's wrong. Yeah? Regulus lets out a dry laugh. Yeah, something's wrong. Is it about the guy? Regulus squeezes his eyes shut. Maybe this is the easiest place to start showing James what's really living inside his skin. How twisted up he is. He was older, Regulus manages on his next exhale. He hears James shuffle closer. Okay. He says the word softly, and Regulus knows it's his way of letting him know that he's listening. But part of him wishes he wouldn't. This isn't... Regulus's voice shakes, and he swallows, trying to center himself. This isn't exactly my proudest moment. It's okay, Reg. Unfazed. It isn't. God, it isn't. I was 13 when it started. He hears James' sharp inhale and does his best not to flinch. Pushing on with the story. Sirius was always at yours, even before he left for good, and it's ash in his mouth. It's bitter and vile and pathetic. I was lonely. Regulus swallows, nails digging into his knees. I liked it at first. The attention, the looks and the smiles and the compliments. I didn't know. He lets out a breath, his whole body shaking. I didn't know where it was going until it happened. The first time. The silence is deafening, and Regulus has the intense desire to just disappear inside of himself. He could walk away. James might let him know. How long did this go on for? James asks eventually. Regulus has never heard his voice sound like that. Cold. He doesn't want to have this conversation. He doesn't want to think about this at all. It's so much worse than he thought it'd be, dragging it all up, out of the corners he stuffed it into. I promise not while we've been... Nothing since we've been together. He doesn't know if that's the right answer, but it's the only one he has. There's another aching pause. Regulus is about to crawl out of his skin. People always tell you to talk about things, and he doesn't exactly know why. It never made him feel better, just like he's being pulled inside out, exposed. So last summer, there's still something wrong with James's voice, but Regulus can't make himself look at him. Listen, it's not... I didn't want it, but I just couldn't... couldn't see the point in making an enemy in that house. I'm not a very... He laughs dryly. I'm not a very brave person, James. Not very bold. I guess the sorting hat got that bit right. He rests his elbows on his knees, face in his hands as he tries to breathe. Tries to not look like he's falling apart. And fuck, this stupid arm really fucking hurts, and he knows it's in his head. It has to be, but it keeps getting worse. It keeps getting sharper, like it's being burned into his skin all over again. He didn't scream the first time. He wonders if he will now. Who? James demands. Barely even a question. It doesn't matter. Who fucking... James stops himself, and Regulus hears him take in a shaking breath. Who was it, Regulus? Finally, Regulus forces himself to face him, to meet his stare. He's surprised to find James seething. Every muscle in his body looks like it's vibrating with tension, eyes on fire. Lucius Malfoy, I know who he is. James cuts him off, voice like steel. Works with my dad sometimes. He's married to your cousin. Regulus swallows, nodding. Yes. They sit there, staring at one another. Regulus doesn't know where they go from here. Nowhere, hisses the voice in his head. Exactly where you were always going. I'm going to kill him. James's words are full of blades. They are baring their teeth, not afraid of cutting you open and spilling you out. It's frightening, honestly. And of all the things Regulus could say, don't and stop and no, all he can think of is, why? James's face breaks for a second, the anger turning into pain, and Regulus has to look down again, look away. He hates it. Reg. James's voice is gentle. It doesn't matter, it isn't what you think. He clenches his teeth, trying to get a hold of the tremors in his voice. What I think? James repeats slowly. Regulus has started picking at the comforter. I told you, he whispers. I was lonely. A pained noise comes from James's throat. You were 13. Hardly a child, he repeats Narcissa's words, though he doesn't make them sound quite as convincing as she did. Something about the break in his voice, he imagines. Jesus Christ, Regulus. Don't make this into something it's not. Something it's not. Regulus, No. The word comes out of him quickly and over loud, It lingers around them, like the smoke after a gunshot, and Regulus wants to go back to murderous James, to angry James, anything to get James to stop looking at him like he's an open wound. He tries to shake it off, forcing his words to come out flat. I didn't fight him, James. You were 13. And then I was 14. It didn't make a difference. I barely even registered anything was wrong. I let it happen. I always let it happen, so it wasn't... But he can't finish that sentence. He's never even thought it, really. It would make it all so much harder to name the things that have happened to him. Always? James asks. What do you mean, always? Regulus shakes his head, getting off the bed, pacing, considering just walking out of the door. He should. He should have never walked in the first place. I mean, always. With all of them, Flint and Snape and... Snape? Oh. Oh, Regulus knows better than that, but his brain is all scattered, like a stack of papers that he can't get in order that keep slipping out of his hands. What the fuck did Snape do? James is on his feet now, too, that look back on his face, like he's about to kill someone with his bare hands. No, Regulus says. No, I didn't mean... His hands run over his face and he breathes in. He found out about me being... He can't say that one either, for fear that somehow his mother might magically appear in the middle of the room. Sighing, frustrated, he pushes forward. He used it to blackmail me, get me to do things for him, and I just let him. For years, I just let him. Because that's what I do. That's who I am. Okay, well, he's also going to die. No, don't you get it? And now he's getting angry. Except it's the kind of angry where his throat is too tight and his eyes are too wet. It's me. I'm the problem. I'm the common denominator here. It comes out sounding so much more desperate than he means it to. Because he doesn't care, really. He doesn't. He knows who he is. He's always known. He's grown up watching Sirius fight and stand his ground. And he grew up leaving Sirius behind, to face their mother on his own, while Regulus hid in his bedroom. He knows who he is. Regulus. James's voice brings him back, and he has a feeling it's not the first time he said it. Regulus, look at me. And so he does. It's a saying. The world stopped. But the world really does stop when he looks at James Potter. The entirety of the universe suddenly holding its breath. You are not the bad things that have happened to you. Fuck off. But of course, that doesn't stop James. None of it was your fault, Reg. None of it. I can't even... You didn't deserve that. Regulus shakes his head, not sure how he's still standing when his legs are shaking this badly. I did, though. Can't you see that? He's begging for James to understand, to let him have this, because if it was his fault, then it doesn't hurt. Then he didn't lose anything, because things could have never been any different, because no one could have saved him. And if nobody could have saved him, then it doesn't matter that nobody did. Not even Sirius. I deserved all of it. He's crying now, voice cutting itself up on the way out of his mouth. I deserved it. I deserved it. I deserved it. Regulus. And James sounds nearly as wrecked as he does, eyes wide as he steps forward. I'm so sorry. He just shakes his head. He has nothing else left. He's wrung out. I deserved it, he chokes, words barely audible. You didn't, Reg. And he hates him, even as he stands there, arms open but not coming closer, because he won't touch Regulus, not until he tells him it's okay. And even though every rational thought in Regulus's head screams, no, he feels himself reach out, pulling James to him, burying his face in his chest, like coming home, warm and safe. It's okay. James rests his chin on the top of Regulus's head, hands stroking slow circles on his back. It's okay. We're going to be okay. Regulus doesn't bother correcting him. He doesn't have the energy. I love you. James whispers into his hair, causing Regulus to push into him further. He's trying to crawl inside his ribcage. I love you so much. I wish you didn't. James lets out a noise somewhere between a laugh and a sob. I know, he says, squeezing Regulus tighter. But I do. I always will. And God, Regulus hopes that isn't true. Hopes that one day James Potter forgets all about him, that he goes on and lives his beautiful, perfect life, that he isn't weighed down by everything dark and heavy that sits inside Regulus's skin. James deserves more, deserves better than that. You could roll up your sleeve. You could let him go now. It would be so easy. Regulus's hands are twisted up in the back of James's shirt, and he pulls him closer even though there's no space between them. I'm gonna protect you, Reg. James is whispering again. I don't need you to protect me, he mutters into James's chest. Well, fuck you, I'm going to anyway. You can't, Regulus doesn't say. You never could have. It was always too late for me. I was always a lost cause. Then I'll protect you back. I'll show him the mark. I will. Soon. James laughs wetly. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's how that works. How what works? Regulus sniffles, only pulling away from James enough to speak. Being with someone. Another blade in his side. Another ache in his arm. This boy is exhausting, always tearing down the walls that Regulus has spent years building up, that have kept him together for most of his life. I hate you. The words are out of his mouth before he can stop them. James sighs, kissing the top of his head. Yeah, I know that too. Chapter endnotes. Hello, lovelies. Listen, for a Regulus chapter, that wasn't that bad. I mean, that last scene still makes me cry every time I read it, but no one was actively trying to harm him, so for Regulus, that's a pretty good win. Hope you're all having a great day.